Shall we? It's now 9:08 on the 23rd of April 2025. I am using ASI Live, which has the capacity to suppress some of the pixelation I'm now seeing on the screen. Obviously, we have the Bode's galaxies before us. Messier 82 more towards the center of the screen, which studies should drift to the right throughout the evening. I've noticed that. And Messier 81 off to the right, that S-shaped spiral galaxy we're looking at. We're doing 10-second exposures. I'm about to activate the cooling system. We'll see if that brings any additional relief to spaticulation of pixels on the screen. We have about a half an hour to get through 15 or 16 studies. We're going to reproduce one from last night, the last one done. Our faintest galaxy is going to be somewhere around magnitude 16.1 this evening. That will be Messier 2689, and the brightest will be magnitude 10.1, 2655. The difference between those two will be about 250 in terms of brightness differential. We're going to cover NGC 2639 through 2689, which at this point is about 6.5% total of the NGC catalog in terms of rounders or circumpolars. And we will begin with NGC 2636 from the previous evening for our first view. Let's have at it. Well, I do believe NGC 2636 is going to be that edgy on looking galaxy towards the middle of the screen. There, of course, is a brighter galaxy, a little more elliptical in shape than what I believe to be NGC 2636. We're getting pixelation on the screen. The cooling system is cooling down. I have activated noise reduction, and from what I saw last night's images on the screen, eventually they get to be very nice indeed, almost eyepiece quality views. Some data on NGC 26 just to recapitulate. 2636 is a galaxy in Camelot-Pardalis, magnitude 13.8, 0.6 by 0.6 arc minutes with a surface brightness of 12.8. Now this looks more edge on than that, so I'm a little concerned, and a little brighter actually. So it is very intriguing that NGC 2636 looks more like a 12th magnitude galaxy to my eye, although there's appears to be a bit of a fainter nebulosity here, but that looks more like magnitude 15. So we'll get a sense of this as we proceed through the evening and get an idea of where the various studies are turning up. I would assume that this may very well be NGC 2636 right here where I am pointing the cursor. Right, we're now about to have a view of NGC 2639. 2636 was in Camelot-Pardalis. This one is in the Big Bear, Ursa Majoris. And our first new rounder study of the evening. NGC 2639 is at 8 hours, 43 minutes, 38 seconds, plus 50 degrees, 12 minutes, and 20 seconds. Its visual magnitude is 11.6. It's 1.8 by 1.1 arc minute with an average surface brightness of 12.3 and a position angle of 140 degrees. Let's go ahead and boost the e-zoom 40%, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. We're up to 250x. The stars look pretty good. The screen seems to be losing pixelation. I can't quite be sure what our galaxy is, except this possibility here. Now, there is a problem. I may have to, let's take a look at this. I'm going to stop the stack. I'm going to begin a new stack. Now, this is a complication that comes into every time you use ASI Live. You have to be very sure, and we are seeing the same screen. So I did reinitialize the stack, and at 100% zoom, this is the most likely to be the galaxy because it is so very bright. Once again, now visual magnitude 11.6. Now, through a 17.5-inch scope done in 1992, Steve Gottlieb describes it as fairly bright, moderately large, elongated 2 to 1. Aspect ratio northwest to southeast, and what he was seeing was about 1.6 by 0.9 arc minutes. The halo gradually increases to a small, brighter core. Now, this galaxy is looking well too bright, in my estimation, to be the one described, and a bit more elongated. But we may have to assume that this is the case because I'm not seeing a sub-12th magnitude galaxy anywhere in this field that could resemble it. The position angle here is south, north, west, and east. And if this is north, position angle would be something like halfway between west. So a fairly extreme position angle. I'd have to figure it out on the manana. Our next study is NGC2641. It's at 8 degrees 47 minutes 57.5 seconds and plus 72 degrees 53 minutes and 45. As far north as that is, it's still an Ursa Majoris. We should be seeing a magnitude 13.6 galaxy with almost face-on size 1.3 by 1.1 arc minutes, an average surface brightness of 14, and a position angle of 5 degrees, which pretty much means vertical. I'll give you a description of what was seen at the eyepiece through a 17.5-inch scope after we've had a chance to do a bit of zoomage. Now, searching the screen, there's several galaxies quite present on the screen here and here. I would have expected them to turn up over in this region of the screen, given the fact that that's where that last Egeon-looking galaxy turned up, but that is not the case. Let's assume this one is, we'll just give the description first. Through the eyepiece of a 17, we're looking at 2641 through a 17.5-inch scope done in 1992. Faint, small, round, broad, mild concentration, almost stellar nucleus, forms a pair with NGC 2629, 6.3 arc minutes northwest. There certainly is a pairing up of galaxies here. 6 arc minutes apart makes sense. I think we have a pretty good probability that this galaxy right here is NGC 2641. Here we have our 70 to 80x view of the field associated with NGC 2646. This particular galaxy is in Camelot Pardalis at 8 hours 50 minutes 22 seconds plus 73 degrees 27 minutes and 46 seconds. Visual magnitude is 12.1 with a size 1.3 by 1.3 arc minutes and an average surface brightness of 12.5. Let's see if we can turn this face-on galaxy up in the field of view. Yes. I think so. And it kind of confirms that most of our views are going to be off to the left a wee bit, at least initially in the evening. Let me give you a description of that. So NGC 2646 through a 17.5 scope done in 2002, fairly faint, fairly small, elongated 4 to 3, aspect ratio west, southwest to east, northeast. Visible is 0.8 by 0.6 arc minutes, has a weak but even concentration to the center of the field. I think we can give some relative confidence, although the position angle does seem to be rather north-south in this instance. But a lot of that depends on what your scope is revealing at the time, unless, of course, it's one of those lovely edge-on galaxies. All right, NGC 2650 at 8 hours, 49 minutes, 58.4 seconds, plus 70 degrees, 17 minutes, and 58 seconds in Ursa Majoris, magnitude 13.3 galaxy with a size of 1.6 by 1.2 and an average surface brightness of 13.8. The position angle is 82 degrees, so it should be left or right on the screen. Let's have a look at higher magnification, bumping up from about 70 or 80x to 250 or so. Here's our galaxy right there. Hey, they're falling in pretty good this evening. Through a 17.5-inch scope on 2002, Steve describes it as faint, fairly small, elongated 4:3 aspect ratio, east to west, 0.6 by 0.4 arc minutes. Now that looks more of a north to south orientation to me, but we're getting more like a 24-inch view. It's got an even surface brightness, and we are seeing some wispy core extensions going off above and below. So that's our view of NGC2650. Okay, we're now having a look at a beautiful edge-on galaxy, even visible at the 80x magnification of NGC something 2654. NGC 2654 is Ursa Majoris. It's at 8 hours, 49 minutes, 11.9 seconds, plus 60 degrees, 13 minutes, 16 seconds. Has a visual magnitude of 11.8, a size of 4.3 by 0.8. It's like a 5:1 aspect ratio. Average surface brightness 12.9, and a position angle of 63 degrees. We'll do a bit of a zoom in here to our 100%, so we're exposing all the pixels. There is our beautiful galaxy. It's a little off to the right compared to the previous ones. Okay, NGC 2654 is described through a 13.1-inch scope, 1986 by Steve Gottlieb. Fairly faint, edge-on 4:1 southwest to northeast with a bright, elongated core. Say we're doing a little better than that, and maybe twice as good. We're now hoping to see NGC 2655. It's in Camelopard, Dallas, 8 hours, 55 minutes, 38.5 seconds, plus 78 degrees, 13 minutes, and 25 seconds. This is the brightest galaxy of the evening. Has a visual magnitude of 10.1, size 4.9 by 4.1 arc minutes, and an average surface brightness of 13.2, position angle of 85 degrees. First time I've seen him report through a 14.5-inch scope, Steve Gottlieb that is, on April 1st of 2021, at 226x, bright, very large, oval, 4:3 east-west, at least 3 arc minutes in diameter, very bright core, increases to an intense, very small nucleus. And since this is the brightest galaxy we're seeing on the screen, kind of looks a little elongate to me, but let's go ahead and push the limits a little bit. 100%. I'm not seeing any other galaxies as bright as magnitude 10.1. This is clearly our study. It has a south to north orientation, maybe about 20 or 30 degrees. I don't exactly remember what that was for 2655. I'll look it up here. Position angle of 85 degrees, doesn't quite agree, but then again, the scope could be a little bit off on its axis. But a fine view of a brilliant galaxy with a core region, and extended nebulosity in leading up to what potentially would be spiral arms. Here we have NGC 2655 plus 1, that would make it 2656. This galaxy is located in Ursa Majoris at 8 hours, 47 minutes, 53.1 seconds, with a declination of plus 53 degrees, 52 minutes, and 34 seconds. Has a visual magnitude of 13.8, Has a size of 1 by 1 arc minute, so you might guess that its average surface brightness is about the same. However, it's listed as 13.7 here. I'll give you a little description of it from Steve's logs here as we push the magnification up. Galaxy should be in this region over here. That's where most of them have been turning up. But we're not seeing much of anything there. Through a 17.5-inch scope on the 2002, faint, small, round, 35 arc seconds in diameter with an even surface brightness. All right, then. It's supposed to be roundish. This one's pretty bright here. We're not seeing anything in the position ordinarily. I could not make any claims, but this, I'm telling you, this is very strange how things are drifting around on the screen, but this is probably our study, NGC 2656. NGC 2675 is also an Ursa Majoris. It's at 8 hours 52 minutes 5 seconds plus 53 degrees 37 minutes and 2 seconds. So a little bit further south. Visual magnitude 13.3, size about 1.5 by 1.1 with an average surface brightness of 13.8 and a position angle of 80 degrees. Looks like Steve observed it through a 17.5-inch scope. Let's push our magnification up. Boy, this looks an awful lot like the last one, just a little more oblate, but in a similar position. 2675, described as with a 17.5-inch scope on the 6th of April 2002. Fairly faint, fairly small, elongated 4 to 3, east to west. 1 by 0.7 arc minutes, just a weak broad concentration with no well-defined core. Well, I would say the core is pretty well defined here, but I don't like that position angle. And I don't see any other real galaxies anywhere on this screen, so we're going to have to stay with that. All right, we're on to NGC 2676. It's also an Ursa Majoris at 8 hours 51 minutes 35.6 seconds plus 47 degrees, so we've shifted by about 6 degrees to the south. 47, 33, 27. Visual magnitude 13.1 with a size that's pretty commonplace for 13th magnitude galaxies, 1.2 by 1.1 arc minute, average surface brightness of 13.3. Steve observed this galaxy in 2002 and probably used at least 150x. And he describes it as faint, very small, round 20 arc seconds in diameter with a faint stellar nucleus. And once again, I'm going to assume it's this galaxy here. Does have a faint stellar nucleus with a little bit of an extension to it. It's in the right position on the screen. Here we have an obvious and bright galaxy on the screen, NGC 2681, and we haven't even done an e-zoom at this point. So heading off in that general direction at a higher magnification, 250 plus X. I'll give you a description of NGC 2681. Okay, it's at 8 hours 53 minutes 32.8 seconds, 51 degrees 18 minutes and 50 seconds. Once again, an Ursa Majoris. Very bright, magnitude 10.3, 3.6 by 3.3 arc minutes with an average surface brightness of 12.8. Through a 14.5-inch scope done in 2021. At 226x, fairly bright and large, 3 arc minutes in diameter, slightly elongated with a 5 to 4 east-west in direction of 2 magnitude 13 stars. I do see the stars above it. However, that looks more like to the south than east-west. So I'm a little concerned about that. off the northwest side, nearly reaching. Oh, the stars are to the west, potentially the west-northwest. That's good. And nearly reaching the closer star. No, I wouldn't describe it that way. I'm going to play with the histogram on this a little bit, though. The outer halo has a very low surface brightness, but there is a very sharp and strong central concentration with a small, intense core and a stellar nucleus. All right, here I'm going to go ahead and yeah, that did bring out a halo around this. And there's a faint galaxy there. So yes, I could have used a little more sensitive histogrammic position, but that's the best balance right there between seeing as much of the galaxy as possible, plus getting a nice dark background sky. It's too bad I have to spend time playing with those settings in order to get the best views, but that's just the way it works out. Okay, we're on to NGC 2684 that appears quite present at some 80x. We'll go ahead and do the zoom now, and then I'll give you some data. NGC 2684 is an Ursa Majoris, 8 hours, 54 minutes, 54.1 seconds. A little further south, 49 degrees, 9 minutes, 38. It's a visual magnitude 13.1, 0.9 by 0.8 arc minutes, so around 1 by 1, which is typical of 13th magnitude galaxies. Average surface brightness 12.4, and a position angle of 40 degrees. Through an 18-inch scope on April 26, 2008 at 220x, NGC 2684 appeared fairly faint, fairly small, with an oval 4-3 with a southwest and northeast orientation. This is the brightest in a compact group, similar to an HCG, whatever that means, probably a group classification for galaxies, with 4 additional nearby NGC galaxies. NGC 2686 being a double galaxy 1.4 arc minutes southeast, NGC 2687 1.9 arc minutes to the east, NGC 2688 3.7 minutes to the southeast, confirmed though extremely faint, and NGC 2689 5.8 arc minutes to the southeast. And I believe he's saying something about a marginal view on the next page on this one, marginal observation. So, all of those galaxies are fairly compact and probably within this region right in here. And yes, we can see any number of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, potentially 9 or 10 galaxies. Interesting group. Let me give you the designation of the group again. HCG. It's similar to an HCG, but he does not list the reference number for it. Wow, that is like a little open star cluster of galaxies right in our field of view. Very nice. We are on to NGC 2685, and I'm seeing a very tight little Edgeon galaxy right there in the middle. I believe that will be our study. NGC 2685 is also known as the Helix galaxy. It's at 8 hours, 55 minutes, 34.6 seconds in Ursa Majoris at 58 degrees, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds in terms of its declination. Visual magnitude 11.3. Size is fairly large for 11.3, 4.5 by 2.3 arc minutes, and an average surface brightness of 13.7 with a position angle of 38 degrees. And Steve observed it through a 13.1-inch scope in 1985. Before we get that information, however, let's run our magnification up. And there's our galaxy. why it's called a helix. There is something very intriguing, like a loop, right above it. Okay, I'll tell you what his observation was. 685 through a 13.1 inch scope, moderately bright, fairly small, edge on 4:1 aspect ratio, southwest and northeast, contains an elongated bright core. We're also seeing some loopy luminosity here and here. Have to take a look on it at the image from the Digitized Sky Survey on skylive.com. NGC2686 is also readily visible on the screen. However, no, this is probably, looks a little faint for that in terms of magnitude. 86, magnitude 14.7. No, that can't be it. NGC2686, magnitude visual 14.7, 0.8 by 0.45 arc minutes with an average surface brightness of 12.6 through an 18-inch scope done in 2008. This member of the compact NGC2684 group appeared very faint, very small, either elongated or double-oriented east to west. So this is part of that very complicated group that we saw earlier. So it's very difficult to determine which one it is. Let me go back and give you the orientation anyway. This particular galaxy is like 2686. Is magnitude 14.7, and it's got a position angle very either double-oriented east to west. We'll have to puzzle through that one offline. NGC 2687 should be a familiar star field at this point. It's part of that same group of galaxies we've already had a look at. In terms of 2687, however, 8 hours, 55 minutes, 6 seconds, plus 49 degrees, 9 minutes and 22 seconds, so slightly further north, which would be towards the bottom of the screen. Slightly fainter than 2686, visual magnitude 14.8, size slightly smaller, 0.6 by 0.3 arc minutes, with a brighter average surface brightness of 11.9 and a position angle of 28 degrees. Steve Gottlieb observed it through an 18-inch scope. It's probably part of that same outing that he had in the past. Go to 100% to keep things consistent. One of these galaxies here, these are probably the 14th magnitude galaxies here, and there's a fainter, probably 15th plus some 16ths, potentially some 16.5s. Let me give you the data on the observation on 2687. Through an 18-inch scope in 2008, this member of the NGC 2684 compact group appeared very faint, very small, slightly elongated, low average surface brightness, 15 by 12 arc seconds, located 1.9 minutes east of NGC 2684. East, that would be in this direction here, presumably, if things are consistent. Back in the 2684 group, once again with NGC 2688. This one's quite faint. We're located, of course, at 8 hours, 55 minutes, in this case 11.7 seconds, plus 49 degrees, 7 minutes and 21 seconds Ursa Majoris. This galaxy is a visual magnitude of 15.4, smallish, 0.4 by 0.3, but you'd expect that. Average surface brightness 12.7, and a position angle of 87 degrees, and hopefully we can suss that out once again in order to determine which galaxy it is. I'm going to go ahead now and do my zoomy thing, and we shall determine which galaxy it might be. Now, we should be drifting to the east with right ascension in the NGC numbers, and this is the east. So it's going to be somewhere in this smaller group of galaxies here, I would suspect. And this NGC 2688 has the following eyepiece description. 2008, this very difficult member of the NGC2684 group appeared extremely faint and small, about 5 arc seconds, quasi-stellar, only popped into view with averted vision and concentration, but sketched in the correct position on a line between a mag 10.7 star 2.8 arc minute south-southeast and NGC 2687. There's a magnitude 10.7 star here. I would assume it's probably this one, but this direction is to the west, not the east. The NGC numbers progress in that one. Maybe this is our 11.7 magnitude star, as I recall the magnitude, and it should be somewhere along here. Right here is a fairly stellar looking, but actually quite bright potential galaxy, although it looks more stellar to my eye. We're at 30 minutes. We need to wrap up. One thing about ASI Live that is a little problematic is you can't go more than 10 seconds in a stack. So what we're going to do is allow it to stack a bit, and we're going to really push the magnification on this brilliant Messier 81 galaxy, put it in the center of the field, and continue to expand the view. And notice that it just brings out more and more and more of the texture in the galaxy in a rather extraordinary manner. Most of the galaxies we've been seeing tonight have shown maybe the central core, which sometimes appears star-like, and the core region. You may see this region right here on these 11th magnitude galaxies, giving this expanded view of the core, nucleus, core region, and the roots of the various spiral arms, which then are invisible because they are so very faint, but not this 8.5 magnitude galaxy. We are getting a splendid carpe nocturne.
Poor man's dream, if I ever did see one.